In the vast and ancient landscapes of the Americas, where mountains scraped the skies and rivers cut deep into the earth, there existed a silent science, a knowledge passed through whispers and visions, encoded not in books, but in ritual, memory, and fear. This was the world of poison, a world where the difference between medicine and murder could be the shape of a leaf or the timing of a harvest. The ancients knew their plants. They studied the sting of insects, the bile of frogs, the breath of flowers that could kill or cure. In this episode of Untold Secrets of Ancient America, we enter the shadowed domain of the poison masters, keepers of a dangerous wisdom that shaped wars, healed kings, destroyed enemies, and opened doors to the spirit world. Join us as we explore forgotten formulas, deadly rituals, and the secret societies that guarded this toxic law for centuries. To understand the use of poison in ancient America, we must first understand how these cultures viewed the natural world. Plants weren't just tools, they were beings. Many indigenous societies believed every tree, root, and flower had a spirit, a consciousness. To poison was not merely to apply a chemical, it was to command or disturb a sacred balance. Poison was never casual, it was precise. Among the Maya, the Inca, and many Mississippian mound-building cultures, toxic knowledge was spiritual, classified, and restricted to ritual specialists, often tied to cosmological systems. The use of poison wasn't inherently evil. It was about balance. Shamans and herbalists wielded it both to protect and to punish, to heal and to harm. In some cases, it was a final tool for justice when no other would suffice. Among certain Central American peoples, poison was used in ceremonial duels where two wronged individuals would drink mildly toxic brews as part of legal judgments, believed to reveal guilt or innocence based on how each reacted. The toxic arts were embedded in law, religion, and medicine. And while the tools were botanical or chemical, the meaning was deeply cultural. Deep in the Amazon rainforest, surrounded by a near-infinite biodiversity, indigenous cultures cultivated one of the most advanced poison sciences in the ancient world. Tribes like the Matsays, the Shuar, and the Huitoto developed specific, highly refined toxins for hunting, warfare, and spiritual use. One of the most iconic poisons was curare, a name given to a group of alkaloid compounds derived from vines in the Chondrodendron genus. These vine saps were carefully extracted, boiled down over hours or even days, and mixed with other ingredients like venom, stinging ants, or even decomposing animal parts to enhance their lethality. The preparation was ritualized. Only trained poison masters, often older men or women, were allowed to mix the ingredients. Mistakes could be fatal. Once complete, the curare paste was stored in sealed gourds or wrapped in leaves and applied to blowgun darts. The result, a completely silent weapon. An animal struck by a dart would collapse, unable to breathe or move, but with its heart still beating, preserving the meat. Yet this wasn't just biology, it was sorcery. Shamans believed the spirit of the vine was being channeled into the weapon. Songs and chants accompanied the preparation. Certain days were forbidden for harvest, and before the hunt, rituals were held to calm the poison so it would obey its wielder. This toxic relationship between hunter, plant, and prey created a triangle of power that defined much of Amazonian life. While Amazonian tribes used poison for hunting, others employed it to pierce the veil between this world and the spirit world. In Mesoamerica, particularly among the Zapotec, Mixtec, and later the Mexica, Aztecs, toads and frogs were not just animals, they were portals. The Sonoran desert toad, Incilius alvarius, produced a powerful psychoactive compound, 5-MeO-DMT, known today for its use in visionary ceremonies. In ancient times, the venom was harvested carefully, sometimes dried and smoked, other times applied to the skin or consumed in a diluted paste. These ceremonies were not recreational. They were terrifying initiations. The initiate would enter a trance, guided by a shaman, to confront ancestral spirits, gods, or even their own death. Yet these rites came with risk, too much, and the participant could experience seizures or respiratory failure. The shaman's skill wasn't just in handling the poison, it was in knowing how to balance it. Elsewhere in the Andes, venom from snakes was collected and dried. Used in small amounts, it was sometimes rubbed into ritual scars or incisions. The pain it caused was said to purify the soul or awaken warrior spirits. And among the Yaqui and Tarahumara, runners took minor toxins to induce hallucinatory endurance states, blurring the line between the physical and spiritual. These weren't poisons in the modern sense. They were keys, dangerous, demanding, and deeply sacred. When war came to the ancient Americas, it didn't always come with spears and fire. Sometimes it came in the form of smoke, spit, or a sliver of wood dipped in darkness. Among the Chichimeca, Olmec, and Maya, war poisons were used to weaken, disorient, or kill silently. Arrows and darts were treated with plant extracts like datura, Jimson weed, euphorbia, or toxic chili peppers. The capsaicin in the peppers could cause intense pain, blindness, or respiratory distress if delivered to the eyes or mouth. But beyond direct attacks, poison was used for sabotage. In the Aztec Empire, elite spies, known as Nahualtan, were rumored to carry powders that could be sprinkled on garments or into drinks, causing nausea, disorientation, or death. One tale tells of a Toltec priest who offered the king of a rival city a ceremonial drink laced with tlapatl, a plant that causes paralysis and death in minutes. In Andean highlands, Inca messengers, chasqui, carried medicinal herbs, but during wartime, they also delivered poisons to enemy leaders under the guise of peace offerings. Dried fish laced with nightshade or honey mixed with hallucinogens were common tricks. The invisible battlefield was just as deadly as the one fought with weapons. Poison didn't always serve open conflict. It was a political tool, silent, precise, deniable. Among the Mississippian cultures, there are archaeological hints of political assassinations through dietary poison. Burial sites reveal elite individuals with organ damage or discoloration, suggesting heavy metal or plant-based poisoning. Some Mississippian myths refer to bone doctors, specialists in justice by poison, sanctioned by the ruling priest kings. In Maya city-states, poisoned ink and tainted food were sometimes used in palace intrigues. The bitter cup appears in several glyph records, a euphemism for ritual execution through toxin. In some cases, enemies were not killed, but cursed, given doses that caused long-term weakness, madness, or visions. It was said a cursed ruler would dream of jaguars, bleed from the ears, and lose his voice, becoming unfit to lead. In the cold north, Inuit shamans occasionally used toxic seaweed or fermented fish to induce trance or death in rivals, often in contexts of vengeance or spiritual cleansing. Even the act of breathing could become deadly. Tobacco smoke mixed with toxic herbs was sometimes used in banishment rituals, where the accused stood in a smoke tent until judgment was rendered by the spirits. In the end, the poison masters were not merely agents of death. They were healers who knew how close death stood beside life. Many poisons were simply medicines in the wrong dose. The Aztecs used toloach, datura to treat snake bites, while also using it in rituals of madness. The Inca applied coca not just for energy, but as an anesthetic in surgery. Cherokee healers used bloodroot, a poisonous plant, to treat warts, infections, and even cancer. The poison itself was not feared, it was respected. Shamans performed rituals before harvesting a toxic plant, offering tobacco, feathers, or blood to the spirit of the plant. Sometimes they fasted for days before preparation. The line between cure and curse was walked daily. The real danger lay not in the plant, but in the ignorance of its use. True poison masters, those with knowledge, restraint, and vision, were among the most respected people in their communities. So who were these poison masters? They were not villains or mere assassins. They were botanists, healers, warriors, and priests. Their craft was dangerous, yes, but it was sacred. And now, most of it is gone, wiped out by conquest, hidden in oral traditions, or buried in the forest floor. Yet their legacy endures. In the stories, in the medicine, in the fear and fascination we still hold for the idea of ancient, forbidden knowledge. If you enjoyed this journey into the darker arts of ancient America, like and subscribe to Echoes of America and stay tuned for more untold secrets of ancient America. Until next time, respect the plants and never underestimate the hands that wield them.